Hello guys, welcome back. Now in this session we are going to integrate Graph API service layer with UI layer, and that is our learning assignment 19. So let's start. So I am inside the Visual Studio Code, and over here to integrate the service layer with UI layer we have to first import our graph services which we have created in our earlier session. So let's do it. To do that we need to go inside the component, and over here we need to go inside this tsx file, and within this tsx file I am going to import graph services. Now the second step, we need to create a variable called _sp. So let's do it. So I will come to the component class, and over here I will comment this out because we are going to use the graph services, and over here we will specify private _sp, and this is of type graph services. So now we have declared the variable. Now we need to define it. So how we will define it? Let's look into that. I will come over here, and instead of PNP services I am going to use the graph services over here, and our graph services is also expecting the context. It is almost similar to the PNP service. So let me change it to graph services. So now we are done with this. So now let's proceed further and build the read list item capability. I will start with the read list item capability first. To build the read item capability, we need to come over here, and over here we will see that call and bind detail list. I'm going to leave this as is, and I'm going to change this function. So let's go to the function, and over here you will see that we are having get items. If you remember that our function is also called as get item, but it is not expecting any of the parameter. I will show you. If you go inside our function, you will see that there is no parameter because we are defining the list ID in the constant. So that is the change we have done from the prior implementation which we have done for PNP.js. For this case, I am going to remove this part and I will keep it as is. And apart from that, I am not going to do any kind of changes. Now the next change we are going to perform inside the create item functionality. If you look into graph services create item functionality, then you will find that our create item has only one parameter over here, and that is item object. So let's change it. So over here, I'm not going to pass list name because we are keeping the reference of the list by using ID, and that is inside our constant. So let me remove it. Another change I'm going to perform inside our create item functionality is that we need to pass this inside the object, and that object should have fields. Why it is so? Because if you go inside the graph services, and if you remember that the endpoint of this particular graph services, that is called create item, which is expecting over here fields, that is a fields key, and that fields key holds the object. Let me show you the documentation once again. Okay, this is the Microsoft documentation about the endpoint, and over here you will see that within the create item it is expecting this fields key, and all the data should go through this fields key. So we must have to pass the data in this format, and that's the reason I am passing in this format. And over here I have already done fields. So now we are done with the create item integration. Now let's proceed further and do for the update item. Over here you will see that update is complaining the error, and why it is so? Over here you will see that we are passing the name. For our case it is not required because we are passing the list reference as an ID, and over here we are passing the ID, that is correct, and then we are passing the object, but still it is complaining, and that is because we are doing some mistake within the signature. If you go inside our graph services and if you go to the update item, then you will find that we are passing first item object and then item ID, but over here what we are doing, we are passing the item ID first and then object. So let me remove this part of the code, and I will come over here, I will put comma and then paste it over here, and now you will see that the error gone. Now we are done with the integration of the update item. Now let's proceed further and let's look into the delete item. Over here we are doing the same mistake. So for this case we are not going to use the list name because we are passing through the list ID, and which is inside our constant file. So let me remove it, and now you will see that we have fixed all the issues, and now we have successfully integrated all our code. And this is what I wanted to demonstrate you in this session. In the next session we will run this entire application by deploying into the app catalog. So on this note I am stopping over here. See you in the next session. Till then, bye bye, take care.